All right, everyone. Trump has scored a fairly major victory with regards to his tariff war with China, and trust me, he's saying, "Oh, I get 100% of the credit," and he is right. He's the only one who suggested really doing this. Remember when all of the fiscal experts, the Krugmans of the world, all of the economists, political advisors, everyone involved in the stock market was shrieking to high hell about how Trump was going to collapse the economy. Now, first it was he's going to cause a depression just by being elected. That didn't obviously happen. He's going to collapse this market. He's going to pop a bunch of bubbles. The stock market will implode, and basically the U.S. will be a minor power in the world when he's done. It's terrible. The opposite has been true, but this is the ultimate capstone to his fiscal legacy so far. Now, there are a few more things to accomplish with regards to India, more tax relief and deregulation, but this is a pretty big victory. China. With regards to the tariff war there, he's managed to get the Chinese to agree to a 90-day moratorium on additional tariffs, which resets things to the way they were before, mostly, pending a final deal with China. If Trump can strike a decent trade deal that protects U.S. manufacturing and limits Chinese interventionism and protectionism, hell, our economy is about to soar. And the thing is, the Chinese ultimately don't mind that. Here's the secret. A lot of people think China's out to cutthroat after us. No, no, no. What's China's economy mainly based on? Exports. Can the U.S. import goods if the U.S. economy collapses? No, it would have a ripple effect and crush China. So the Chinese are willing to make some conciliatory moves with regards to trade. And none of these economists either understand this or were willing to admit that it could actually work. And now they're singing his praises almost. They're saying, oh, well, ultimately, yeah, Trump's doing fairly well here. He's a big, mean, scary orange fascist. He's exactly the kind of person we need to deal with the communists, basically. So they're actually sort of giving him qualified praise, and it's like really surreal because like just fucking shut up, come out and say what's true, which is that Trump has won in these trade wars over and over. Remember, Canada and Mexico refused to renegotiate NAFTA. Now they've signed a final deal. The House will stand against him. Pelosi will. Eventually, they'll sign off on it after putting a few breadcrumbs out for Pelosi to peck at like the old hen she is. She will ultimately give her support to the USMCA in a very, very similar form to what it is now. He had backed down Europe. You remember, German automotive manufacturers said, yeah, remove the tariffs. We can't fight this war right now. There's no way we can stand up to the U.S. economy because it's surging. Trump has too much of a mandate. None of the European politicians are as popular. It's impossible for them to fight that battle while they're also being attacked by the British government, to some extent, at least on paper, as well as having problems with the Visegrad group in some of these countries in a schismatic sense over internal policy. Now he's backed China down, and importantly, there's a rider to this. And this is something that nobody really talked about. And Scott Adams pointed this out, that it was mysterious that nobody was talking about it. Something that could really help in the opiate crisis here, China has agreed finally to crack down on fentanyl production and distribution. One of the big problems in fighting the opiate crisis here is that you get this really, really cheap opiate that is being shipped in enormous quantities here through the black market. Now China, and up until now, China said, well, we're not going to do anything. You've got, border control. You check the shipping freighters and the planes and stuff. No problem. But it's being brought in as contraband. It's being smuggled in through a million methods. Now it's going to be checked on China's end too. A major concession. It costs China very little. Ultimately, it costs us a great deal in terms of the opiate crisis. China doesn't want the U.S. to collapse. Here's the big secret. China has a mutualistic relationship with the U.S. as we are their largest buyer of goods, essentially. Now, it's not the same in reverse, and this is why China was always going to lose. This is why months and months before, any of these so-called leading economists pointed this out. I was saying, hey, ultimately, anytime we suffer a little, they suffer a lot. Because we are their largest trading partner. They are not our largest trading partner. We can get those cheaply manufactured goods in Thailand. We can get them in Vietnam. We can get them in the Philippines or India or Bangladesh. We can get them from Mexico. We can get them from Brazil. It's easy for us as an importer to make that decision. But they can't choose who has the wealth to import their goods. Their entire economy is built on rampant, almost capitalistic speculation. In an essence. It's centrally planned speculation, but oddly enough then functions with a weird mixed model that they've imposed, which is good short term, but is beginning to grind down. It's showing signs of wear and tear. This is the perfect time to have such a tariff battle. Now, where are all those economists and politicians and pundits who said Trump was doomed? He can't stand up against China. He doesn't know what he's doing. They've already got that 90-day moratorium, and the only reason for that is that now they can hammer out a final rough trade deal and impose that. They'll probably end up extending the moratorium. It won't just be 90 days. It'd be very odd if they managed to agree to a full comprehensive trade overhaul where all the tariffs will be, what goods are shipped where, what's the cost, price fixing in some cases. It would be very odd if they could hammer that out in 90 days. It would be very likely, though, that they could extend it to 180 and then hammer it out. That would give Trump a major victory, by the way. That's a major foreign policy success. It's one of the keys to the White House. Technically, he's already gotten it with North Korea. Now he can get one with China, too. He is doing a stellar job at this point on anything related to trade and tariffs. Early on, people thought that these other world leaders would chew him up and spit him out. Instead, he's chewing them up and taking fucking names. None of the lame streamers will ever give him credit. Like, they've stopped doing polling on Trump's approval as much. Probably because they're afraid of all the good news that's coming out. They're afraid he'll be above 45. He'll hit the magic 50 mark, and they'll have to admit that he can get reelected. That would break their narrative spine now, wouldn't it? You can say whatever you want about Trump in some respects. Like, opposes bump stock ban. I think it's a dumb idea. I think it's ridiculous, among other things. But on trade, he's done nothing wrong. He's backed down China, of all places, the #2 economy in the world. Yes, bigger than the EU, which backed down within days. Yes, more important than renegotiating NAFTA, which was a main campaign promise. Bringing back U.S. manufacturing, especially related to the automotive sector, was one of his big things. It was one of the things he talked about at basically every rally when he was running for office, and he's actually walking the walk. We haven't had for a long time a president who is willing to do that. We have presidents who talk a big game during the political season when they're running for office. They get in there and they do nothing. Trump ultimately has done a great deal. Remember early on when people were criticizing him as the golfing president? The reason why that stopped being a thing, the reason why they stopped talking about it and worrying about all of his days off, is that he's managing to accomplish more than the last 2 or 3 presidents combined in half the time while doing his golfing and sleeping at Mar-a-Lago thing. It doesn't even matter. He's managed to overhaul fundamentally a huge proportion of the U.S. economy, and it's paying off major dividends. He's making more gains, I think, than I expected at this point. Yeah, say what you want about immigration, he hasn't built the wall. Okay, it's true, although he's got Schumer kind of optioning some wall funding. It's half-assed, admittedly. On the economy, though, he's got an A+, you give him an A+ rating. As far as the economy goes, he's an A+ president. As far as foreign policy goes, he's up there. It's really the domestic side that he's lacked on, but the thing is he was never going to be a domestic policy president. He's a money guy first and foremost, and a negotiator-in-chief second to that, which helps with the former, of course, and also helps on North Korea and some of these other issues. I'd love him to apply that to Venezuela. I'd love him to try to get rid of Maduro or to temper the regime there. I think that would pay off dividends. Anything short of interventionism, of course. You understand, I don't support the U.S. military getting involved. Unless you are 100% sure that that one assassin that the CIA paid $1 million to will take the shot and it'll actually land between Maduro's eyes, you shouldn't bother to risk it. It's a very high-risk maneuver that would pay off a lot more than that $1 million that you're giving the assassin, I suppose, but you know. I remember, who was it? Was it Pat Robertson suggested we should kill off Chavez years ago, like in the mid-2000s or something? And at the time, a lot of people laughed at him. I mean, there's a lot to laugh at with Pat Robertson, in all honesty. But now a lot of those people are like, man, maybe we probably should have done that. Look at Venezuela now. That was back when they were in a boom time, though. So they did ultimately decided to leave it alone. They're like, well, Venezuela will restabilize. Now it's collapsing. It's a little different. That's about all. Peace out.